Hi Krishna, I will start. So I will share my screen.
Yeah, we can see.
Sure, thank you, Mataji. So before starting reading, thank you all for joining for today's Bhagavad Gita discussion. Before starting the recitation, reading Bhagavad Gita, we'll seek blessings from all the previous acharyas and assembled Vaishnavas. We'll offer prayers. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Stapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupah Padamahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunathanvitam Tam Sajivam साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजना सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्य देवं श्री राधा कृष्ण पादान् सहगना ललिता श्री विशाखान्वितांश्च हे कृष्णा करुणा सिन्धो दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपीशा गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोस्तुते तप्त काञ्चन गौराङ्गी राधे वृन्दावनेश्वरी वृषभानुसुते देवी प्रणमामि हरिप्रिये वाञ्छाकल्पातरुभ्यश्च कृपा सिन्धुभ्य एव च पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः। नमः ॐ विष्णुपादाय कृष्णप्रेष्ठाय भूतले श्रीमते भक्तिवेदान्त स्वामी नित्यनामिने नमस्ते सरस्वती देवी गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विशेष शून्यवादी पाश्चात्यादेशतारिणे जय श्री कृष्ण चैतन्य प्रभु नित्यानंद श्री अद्वैता गदाधरा श्रीवासादि गौरभक्तवृंद हरे कृष्णा 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 हरे 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 राम 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 हरे हरे. Okay. Reading from Srimad Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 23rd verse. You can repeat after me. Gata sangasya muktasya
गतसंमुक्तस्य
Tasya
jnanavastita chetasaha
Jnana Vastita
ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः
Chetasaha
yajnaya charataha karma
Yajnaya Charata
कर्म
Rataha Karma
samagram praviliyate.
समग्रं
Samagram Praviliyate
प्रविलीयते
Gata sangasya muktasya
Gata Sangasya
गतसङ्गस्य
Muktasya
jnanavastita chetasaha
Jnana Vastita
ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः
Chetasaha
yajnaya charataha karma
यज्ञाय
Yajnaya Charataha
कर्म
Karma
samagram praviliyate.
समग्रं
Samagram
प्रविलीयते
Praviliyate
गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य
Gata
गतसङ्गस्य
Sangasya
मुक्तस्य
Muktasya
ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः
Jnana Vastita
ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः
Chetasaha
यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म
Yajnaya Charataha
यज्ञाय
Karma
कर्म
समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Samagram
समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Praviliyate
Anyone would like to recite the verse?
Gata Sangasya Muktasya
गतसङ्गस्य
गतसङ्गस्य
मुक्तस्य
मुक्तस्य
Jnana Vastita Chetasaha
ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः
ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः
Yajnaya Charataha Karma
यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म
Samagram Praviliyate
समग्रं
समग्रं
प्रविलीयते.
प्रविलीयते.
गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य
Gata Sangasya
गतसङ्गस्य मुक्तस्य
Muktasya
ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः
Jnana Vastita Chetasaha
ज्ञानावस्थितचेतसः
यज्ञायाचरतः कर्म
Yajnaya Charataha Karma
समग्रं प्रविलीयते.
Samagram Praviliyate.
Okay, we'll go for synonyms. Gata sangasya,
Gata
गतसङ्गस्य
Sankasya
of one unattached to the modes of material nature.
of
one
one unattached to
unattached
the
to
modes of
material
material
nature.
nature.
Muktasya,
मुक्तस्य
Muktasya
of the liberated.
of the
of the
liberated.
liberated.
Jnana Avastita,
Jnana
Avastita,
situated in transcendence.
situated in
situated
transcendence.
in transcendence.
Chetasaha,
Chetasaha,
whose wisdom.
whose
whose
wisdom.
wisdom.
Yajnaya,
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 for the sake of Yajna.
for the sake of Yajna.
Krishna.
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 Acharataha,
Acharata,
Acharataha,
acting.
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 Karma,
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 work.
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 Samagram,
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 in total.
in total.
Praviliyate,
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 merges entirely.
merges entirely.
Translation and purport by His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Translation. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Purport. Becoming fully Krishna conscious, and one is free from all dualities and thus is free from the contaminations of the material modes. He can become liberated because he knows his constitutional position in relationship with Krishna, and thus his mind cannot be drawn from Krishna consciousness. Consequently, whatever he does for Krishna, who is the primal Vishnu. Therefore, all his works are technically sacrifices because sacrifice aims at satisfying the Supreme Person, Vishnu, Krishna. The resultant reactions to all such work certainly merge into transcendence, and one does not suffer material effects. Translation. The work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. Okay. Okay, this verse is speaking about like in this verse, like Krishna is going to conclude the description of Karma Yoga, which he started in 4th chapter. So let's see the words Gata Sangasya Muktasya. So it says Gata Sangasya Muktasya. It says Sangha means attachment. So we already saw that Sangha is Dhyayato Vishayan Pumsa Sangasteshu Pajayate Sangat Sanjayate Kama Kamat Krodho Bijayate. There we got the same word Sangha. Sangha means attachment, or Sangha means attachment. Gata Sangha means whose attachment has gone away. Okay, whose attachment is gone away. It means that here translated as unattached to the modes of material nature. Okay, then whoever has who is unattached from the material modes of nature, muktasya, so that person is liberated. Mukti means liberated. And next line is jnana vastita chetasaha. Jnana vastita means such a person's consciousness is situated in where jnana. Avastita means situated. Where it's situated, chetasa means wisdom. Like chetasa, sometimes it's intelligence or consciousness, like that. So chetasa, so whose consciousness is situated in jnana. Jnana means knowledge. The title of this chapter is Transcendental Knowledge. Next, third line, Yajna Acharataha Karma. So Yajnaya means for the sake of Krishna, so which is sacrifice. Acharataha means acting. So whatever the person, whoever the person who is unattached from the modes of material nature and whose consciousness is fixed or situated in knowledge, and who works karma, who works acting for the sake of yajna, or for the sake of satisfying Krishna. All these things, samagram praviliyate. Samagram means in total, merges entirely. So what does it mean? Merges entirely means, so the person won't merge, the person's karma will merge. Where it merges entirely to the transcendence. So that's why the translation says the work of a man who is unattached to the modes of material nature and who is fully situated in transcendental knowledge merges entirely into transcendence. So this merging is not like impersonal Brahman, like merging the soul into the impersonal form of the impersonal nature of the Lord, not that one. So this merging is whatever the person, like, who have these qualities, that person's karma will merge as into the transcendence. So it is a significant here, like, the person will not merge the person, but the person's karma will merge, and his work will become transcendental. So let's see this verse. It says here in this verse, Yajnacharitaha karma. So here it's Krishna is referred this one as we discussed in 3rd chapter 9th verse. Yajnatat karmanonyatra lokoyam karma bandhanaha tadartam karma kaunteya mukta sangha samachara. So work has to be done as the sacrifice to Vishnu. Otherwise work binds us. Right? So when the bondage is there, then we will rotate in this repeated cycle of birth and death. So the Yajnacharitaha karma, that refers to that verse 3.9. And details of the yajna, different kinds of the whole system of yajna is described in 3.9 to 3.16 in 3rd chapter we discussed. And here the yajna is not just kind of a sacrifice, fire sacrifice. Yajna means the selfless sacrifice. So it means that we should not expect anything, and for the pleasure of the Lord we need to sacrifice. And it's not like yajna means literally we have to see the fire sacrifice itself. Yajna means, like, for the pleasure of Krishna we do service, that is also sacrifice. Like we chant for the pleasure of Krishna, that is also sacrifice. And we do deity worship for the pleasure of Krishna, that is a sacrifice. So whatever we do for the pleasure of Krishna, and the time also, whatever we give when we perform devotional service, that is a sacrifice. We are giving a part of our life to Krishna. So spending some time for Krishna is think in a way, if I have 100 years, or if I have 60 years of age, or Ayushu, or lifetime, then if I give like 1 hour of time to Krishna, that means that you are giving part of your life to Krishna. So that's why spending time in spiritual consciousness is valuable, which comes back to us as a benefit. But whatever we spend in material things, we need to do that one, but for the sake of sustenance. But in return, it don't come anything. Okay, so that is also sacrifice. We should not say yajna means only the fire sacrifice. Then the person will be free from the bondage if we do like that. And the word Yajnacharitaha karma will expand it, like, that how we do the work and everything. It's going to talk, Krishna is going to talk from 4.24 to 4.33. So this is the gist of the verse. But when I went to the Prabhupada lecture, so lot is there. I thought of it's a very small verse, small purport. Let's start the Prabhupada, how Prabhupada gave class on this one. So Prabhupada takes, like, explaining the Gata Sangasya Muktasya. So how one has to get unattached to the modes of material nature. So first of all, getting a thought of I am affecting by the modes of material nature is first level, because my behavior, everything is depends on the nature. Like, nature's modes are working on me. That is the first step. And next, we need to realize I need to get out of this effect of this modes of material nature. That is the second level. And trying for that one is the third level. So it's like, step by step. So first Gata Sangasya Muktasya itself, like, maybe 60% of his lecture Prabhupada spoke about this, just the phrase of Gata Sangasya Muktasya. So what Prabhupada said is like, so the conditioned state of life, because we are conditioned due to this modes of material nature, and we are not like, we can't tolerate too much of heat, we can't tolerate too much of cold. We are conditioned in whatever way, whichever way we see. Our eyes are conditioned, we can't see everything. If little bit dark happens in the night, we can't see the objects in front of us. So we are conditioned, we have limited scope in all the actions which we do. So the difficulty of the conditioned state is, so what is that one is, once the soul has to learn, like, whatever actions, whatever karma the soul is doing, the conditioned soul, few actions are reactions for our past, like, it may be pious results, or it may be some going through some tough times and everything. And remaining whatever actions we take, like, with our free will in this contact of this material nature, that activities are going to create our next life. So understanding this basic step is very, very important. So then what will happen at the time of death, when the soul leaves the body, the soul transmigrates and it takes to the, according to the karma, according to our free will, according to the impressions we carry forward, it takes the another birth. That's what it describes in second chapter clearly. All this transmigration, it happens, and the sober person won't lament. Dehinosmineta dehe kaumaram yavanam jara tata dehantara praptir dhirastatra namuhyati. And next it says like how the transmigration of the soul takes place, like leaving the old clothes and wearing the new clothes. Vasamsi jirnani yata vihaya navani gruhnati naroparani tata sharirani vihaya jirnani anyani samyati navani dehi. So when we use the cloths or something, like if it becomes old or tight, we remove it and may wear the new clothes. So day before day, Pariprabhu, when he was giving a class, like the liberated person, or like the pure devotee or advanced devotee, like sees, just if a person dies, it sees like, okay, soul left the old cloth and old garment and the soul is going to take a new garment, like that. So sometimes, like that is the way how the Bhagavata sees the death of a person. So that's what it happens there. And how the body, how that soul is going to get the other body is, it depends on. So in Srimad Bhagavatam it describes like how the conditioned soul, it's 331:1, it says karmana daiva netrena jantur dehopapatye shriya parishta udaram pumso reta kanashriyaha. So it says, under the supervision of the Supreme Lord and according to the results of his work, the living entity, the soul, is made to enter into the womb of a woman to assume a particular type of body. So what type of body? Jantur dehopapadyate, whether it is animal or whether it is a human being or whatever the impressions we carry forward. So its main thing is karmana daiva netrena, the result of the work which we do in the supervision of the Supreme Lord. Daiva netrena, in front of the eyes of the Supreme Lord, in the supervision of the Lord. That is the cause, like which makes the living entity to take birth. Right. And one more verse in Bhagavad Gita, it says 13:22, it says karanam gunasangyasya asad asadyoni janmashu. So it says the cause to get the body, the soul, is karanam gunasangasya. Guna means the modes, sangasya means the the association, the association with the modes. That is the one which sat asatyoni janmashu. Yoni means the womb. Sad asat means good or bad. Janmashu means the species take birth. So what is here also, it says association of modes of material nature. So these are the key, like in Bhagavad Gita, if you see the plates, like images plates, if you see, there are like the dolls, like someone is making the dolls to play. There are three modes, like red in color. One lady wears red sari, yellow, and something dark blue or black. Those are the modes. And down the people are there, and they tied the sticks to the ropes, and the modes are making to dance the persons. If you see the picture, so that's where the modes place. The modes are like we are like a dolls in the hands of the tied to thread to the modes. So whichever mode dominates, we go like that. So this is the how we are like attached to this associated with the three modes of material nature, and that is the cause for our next birth. So that's what Prabhupada explains there. So these are the reasons, like and next it says, like when we see in 3.27, prakrute kriyamanani gunai karmani sarvashaha ahankara vimudatma kartaham iti manyate. So with this bewilderment of all these modes, like what will happen? Ahankara vimudatma, we bewildered and we think I am the doer. So but so this is the soul is bewildered by the influence of false ego and thinks himself is the doer of all the activities that are in actuality carried out by the three modes of material nature. So the part of our activity, choosing which activity we are going to do, that we are not the alone we are choosing that one, but the impact of the modes are there in us. So that's where this verse comes. So, but after telling all these things, it says, so in 13.9 verse also it says Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi Dukkha Doshana Darshanam. So the problems of the life are Janma Mrityu Jara Vyadhi. So these are the 4 problems, but people do not understand this real problem is. So that is the biggest problem. So that is the thing, like, see, so Krishna says Gata Sangasya. Though, like, because you are getting different types of bodies in different planets and different spheres of life on account with the association of modes of material nature. So therefore Krishna is also like advising, don't associate with the modes of material nature. So that is that's why we need to why we need to decide, I don't want to attach to this material modes. Or why Krishna is saying unattached gata sangasya means this is the problem. So that's why one has to aspire not getting associated with the association with the modes of material nature. So again in 14th chapter, the title itself will says modes of material nature, 3 modes of material nature. So there it says every living entity is in permutations and combinations, always, like, fluctuates in either goodness, passion, or ignorance, or goodness, passion, or passion, ignorance, or goodness, ignorance, like that. So it's like, it's a permutations and combinations. We are not free for that one. But what makes the free is, so this is still we are discussing the problem. But the intensity of the problem, when we know, then we understand the solution, how important it is. If you only know, oh, this is the problem, like when we fix in the online our jobs also, we need to know. That's why it's like, bugs have the severity of the bug or severity of the defect, means the how fast you have to fix it, because it impacts the whole other parts of the application. So that's why this problem is very, very severe. So to understand the severity of the problem, we are discussing this much, but still we are in problem only. So it says, like, okay, I will become a good man. I'll be in a mode of goodness. I associate it with a Brahmana only. And the Brahmana qualities is described in 18th chapter, 42nd verse. It says, Samadhamastapaha saucham kshanti rajyavam evacha jnanam vijnanam astikyam brahma karma swabhavacham. These are the qualities of a Brahmana: peacefulness, self-control, austerity, purity, tolerance, honesty, knowledge, wisdom, and religiousness. And if I associate only with this Brahmana, I live very perfect way of life, but still there is a risky. Why? Because everything at any moment we can associate with any other quality. We are not perfectly, like, say, I want only like this and I will stick to this one, I will be rest of my life like this. So because we are conditioned. So any time Prabhupada says, we definitely associate with get another quality. So we may see now we are in mode of goodness, and we will see everything is positive, and the rest of the life goes like this only. No. So we get anger, like, we get association of these modes of material nature, and we go to ignorance. We sleep, and we do a lot of things due to ignorance also. So that is the why we need the proper knowledge. So to understand why these modes of material nature are playing this much big role in our life, it's not only this life, they are playing, like, from millions of years. That's why we are rotating in this repeated cycle of birth and death. So normally we see, oh, these modes are there in the nature, but it's not like literally we can see anything so that we can keep avoid. It's not a physical object. Okay, I don't go this place. There is something which is not going to be good for my spiritual growth or for my life. No, we can't say that one. So but how to get out of these modes means, then Prabhupada gives like solutions too. So this is the situation of the problem. Very, very tough. So now we will see why we need to get out of this material modes. Because see, due to this material modes, we choose the activities, and for that activities we will get the reactions, and to go through that reactions we will take new birth, and in this cycle we rotate birth after birth, birth after birth, birth after birth, like this. And where are the places we have to get rid of this one? So that range is given in 8.16. So if you are between from this place to from this place, you are like this, like that. So that region is Abrahma Bhuvanaloka Punaravartino Arjuna Mamupetyatu Kaunteya Punarjanmana Vidyate. From the highest planet material world down to the lowest, all places of misery, wherein repeated birth and death take place. But one who attains to my abode, O son of Kunti, never takes birth again. So knowing all this problem, we don't want to take birth again, because we decided how much impact the three modes are there in our lives. It's not in this life, they are playing like life after life. But how can we get unattached? I don't want that modes. Only thing is not taking birth. Just stop this repeated cycle of birth and death. Because the main problems are Janma, Mrityu, Jara, Vyadhi. So due to these modes of material nature affecting, we go through all these four things. So to stop this complete problem, we need to, there is no birth. I don't want to come to this material world. How can we make ourselves no birth? By choosing the place where if I stay, then I don't get birth. That place is, Krishna is saying, Mamupetyatu Kaunteya. If you come to me, then you never take birth again. So then we will get interest. Oh, okay, there is a place. If I go there, I know no birth. If no birth is no modes. No modes means no go through of birth, old age, disease, and death. So problem stopped. But to attain to that solution, again, like to go to that place, Krishna gives. So before going to that one, let's see the borders of this verse. Brahma Bhuvana Loka, right? So let's see the planetary systems. So why the boundaries are like Brahma Bhuvana Loka is, so there are 14 planetary systems. So we are in the middle planetary system, which is called Earth planetary system, right? So there are topmost 6 planetary systems above Earth and 7 below lower planetary systems. So there are 3 basically: heavenly planetary system, Martya or earthly planetary system, and lower planetary system. There are higher planetary system, middle planetary system, or lower planetary system. So what are the lower planets? The Earth is in the middle. The topmost 6 are Bhuloka, sorry, that is Bhuloka is ours. Bhuvarloka, one second. Bhuvarloka, Swarloka, Mahaloka, Tapaloka, Janaloka, Tapaloka, Satyaloka. Satyaloka is the place where Lord Brahma sits. So that's what the verse says. Topmost planetary system is Satyaloka. Okay, from there down. So below the earth, there are 7 planetary systems: Atala, Vitala, Sutala, Talatala, Mahatala, Rasatala, Patala. So Patala is the lowest planetary system. Okay, from topmost planetary system Satyaloka, downmost Patala Loka, wherever we rotate, wherever planets we go, whatever austerity we perform to achieve to that place, the repeated cycle of birth and death is there. And here it clearly says those are the places of misery. So the misery level may differ. So earthly planetary system, the miseries are different. Higher planetary system, the miseries are different. Lower planetary system, the miseries are different. But misery is there. And the second quality is repeated cycle of birth and death take place, right? So then after going all this, knowing the problem and everything, knowing the range, if we go to this place, you will repeat all these things, means we don't want to go any interest. We don't want to go any place. Even if I sit on the earthly planetary system, I go through birth, old age, disease, and death. Even if I go to Brahmaloka, I will go through birth, old age, disease, and death. Then what is the point of? Maybe the duration may change. Here, the lifespan of human being is the soul is 100 years maximum. There it may be different celestial according to their time. But at one point, the soul has to go through all these things. So then what will happen, the karma activities, how it impacts to go to that planets is, so if we do good karma, piety is there. If according to what I want to go to the higher planetary system, there is more comfortness, more enjoyment is there, or hearing something, demigod worshipping I want. So Krishna says that one too. Whoever Antideva Vrata Devan, whoever you worships, at the end of the time, if you leave the body, you go to that planetary system. That is a solution. Even if you go to that planetary system also, Kshine Punya Martyaloka Vishanti. The Punya is going to Kshina, is going to exhausted. When the Punya is exhausted, what is going to happen? Martyalokam Vishanti. The soul again fall back to the Martyaloka, that is Earth planetary system. So what is the point? Again, going this much struggle. I worshipped so much that God and I went to that planet of the God. Then spend some time again, come back to earth. And now no chance whether I can get the devotional service or not. Then risky is there. Okay. Then lower planetary system, the same thing. So then what I need to do to go to the other place? So I got the boundaries. I understood totally those are the places of misery, repeated cycle of birth and death. Then the solution is given in 1418. The solution, not 1418, sorry. The solution is given in uh, 1 second. The solution is given in to here only in this verse 8:16. Sorry, Mamupetyatu kaunteya punarjanma na vidyate. If you come back to me, even Krishna says in 4.9 also, Janma karma chame divyam evam yo vititatvatah tektva deham punarjanma naiti mameti. So Arjuna, if you come back to me, like if you understand my Janma karma, my birth and activities, the tattva behind that one. It's not only like, oh, Krishna is there like a human being, he took birth and he left he did the pastimes, not limited that one. But knowing the transcendental, his activities and his birth is not like a normal human being, the potency of Krishna's transcendental activities and everything. When we understand the tattva, the mood of the Lord behind that one, then what will happen? Tektva deham punarjanma. When we give up this body, then no need to take birth again. So that is a solution Krishna has given lot of times in Krishna in Bhagavad Gita. So then what happened after this one? So how can we get this one? Then it will come like, next one, muktasya. So gata sangasya, we come to know unattached from the material modes, and by unattaching and by attaining which place where we will be safe. When we completely convinced, I convinced totally, I have to unattach from this modes of material nature, then that stage, that thought brings to the second level. That is, second word is muktasya, mukti. What mukti? Mukti from mukti from janma mrityu jara vyadhi. Mukti from repeated cycle of birth and death. That mukti is given, the gata sangasya muktasya, free from all these things, free from association of material modes, free from repeated cycle of birth and death, free from everything. It's not only free, again, when we get mukti, we are not idle, like, soul nature is not like sitting idle. So where it is going, that place, it's engaging completely in the service of Krishna. So that is called mukti. So if you say, like, if we say, like, if we are driving a car and if we do some mistakes or something, if the cop come and give a ticket, oh, I didn't know this rule, means cop won't accept it, because he don't say, oh, okay, you don't know, okay, I don't give a ticket. No, he don't say that one. If you know or not know, because the eligibility to go on road is you have to know the rules. If you cross that one, then for sure you will get a ticket. So same thing. So the rules are there in this material world. So that, how come we know that rules? That is next line. Jnanavastita chetasaha. We need to get knowledge about this thing. Where to go, how to go, and what way we can go, how long we can go, and who is going to help us in that path. All these things comes jnana. That jnana gives knowledge, should be taken from a perfect person. It's not like, we will take, say, if we take a knowledge, or if we want to go somewhere, and if we ask a new person who don't know anything about the area, he tries, he speculates, he guides, but we will go in wrong way only. It's by chance, if very exception cases, he makes us, like, by speculating or by guessing. But that is don't work in spiritual way, because our lifespans are very less. We don't have a time to try a lot of things. We don't have that much time in this Kali Yuga. We are Alpa means we have very less time. So when we take perfect knowledge from a perfect person, that is called Acharya. And that Acharya is going to guide us to give this knowledge and to make us to reach that place where we no need to go through all these troubles. So that it says, like, in Bhagavatam 7:531, it's Prahlad Maharaj says, Nate viduhu swata gatim hi vishnum durashayaye bahirattamanina anda yadante rupakiyamanas tepish tantram murudamni baddha. So this verse Prahlad Maharaj spoke when Hiranyakashipu asks, where did you are getting all this knowledge? Like, no one is teaching you, but you are getting all these things. Like, that thing, that time, like he says, like all this knowledge, like, persons who are strongly entrapped by the consciousness of enjoying material life and who therefore accepted as their leader. Anda means blind. If one accept the anda, blind person, and who is entrapped in the consciousness of sense enjoyment, and if we take shelter of that person, how can he lead us towards to the spirituality? Because he is born with the sense enjoyment, and of course he is blind also. By taking shelter of blind person, what will happen? A blind man guided by another blind man miss the right path and fall into a ditch. So that's what it's happened. And material attached men led by another materially attached man are bound by the ropes of fruitive labor, which are made of very strong cords. And they continue again and again in materialistic life, suffering these threefold miseries. So choosing a right person, to getting knowledge from the right person, is perfect person, is very, very important. As we have less time, and how we utilize like our time in whatever we do in our, like, studying. I want to become some job, or some goals are there for when we are students. I want to become a good person. I want to become a IT manager. I want to become a doctor. I want to become a lawyer. So how effectively we choose our steps towards to that goal. Same thing. I want to get out of this repeated cycle of birth and death. And what steps we take effectively, like, in a nice, like, very intelligent way, so that I can reach to that goal very safely. It's the same thing how we do our material goals. But of course, this is very serious goal also, because we need to remember this goal, like get out of this place and go to the place where no need to do all these things. That is a very important goal. So for that one, we need to get the knowledge from the perfect person, which is coming from disciplic succession parampara. And when we get that kind of knowledge, that guides us towards to the goal. So sometimes we feel that infection in the material infections happens in COVID happening, right? So we don't know like whether it entered in our body or not. When we get symptoms, then only we come to know. So it's same thing like that, like, we don't know like the person, like, whether he is helping or not. But choosing that person, how can we choose that acharya, that perfect person is? It says is tad vijnanartham sa gurum evadhigachet. So it says one who shows by actions and one who comes in parampara. So ultimately it has to get connected to this Krishna. So these are the qualities we can choose the acharya. So then how that acharya's teaching are helping us to go towards the goal. So he shows the way. Guru is the one who shows the way, who leads the way, and who comes along the way also. He walks with us. So that's where the connection of the guru and the soul happens. So that when that happens, then we are situated in jnanavastita chetasaha. So we are the chetasa, the intelligence, the consciousness is situated on the transcendental knowledge. Then what happens? So here in that context, like Prabhupada quotes the Chanakya Pandita verse, like it. So to achieve, if the person is fully convinced to that goal, to reach the place where all this not there, to that person, how he need to be is Teja Durjana Samagram, means Durjana. Durjana means bad people or materialistic people who are not in the, like, avoid that association. And Bhaja Sadhu Samagamam. So he always associate with the sadhus. And Kuru Punyam Ahoratram. So he always serves for the benefit of others. And remembering always Smara Nityam Anityatam, sorry. Smara Nityam Anityatam. Always remember this place is temporary. Always remember this place is misery. Dukkhalayam ashashvatam. Remembering all these things, doing all the benefit to all the living entities and serving others, and always taking sadhus association and always rejecting the materialistic people association or bad association, or the association which don't lead us towards to that goal. And this is the what the Chanakya Pandit says. And Prabhupada quotes that verse here. Then after that one, what happens? Like next third line, Yajñācharataha karma. Yajñācharataha karma. With that, like situating in that knowledge, he performs the Yajñācharataha karma, the activities as an sacrifice towards to the Krishna. So take an example, like if one is situated, or consider one is taken shelter of the Guru, and he understood completely the range of the where the repeated cycle of birth and death and places of misery, and he decided his goal is go back to the place where all these things are not there. So if the person is he is in that situation, then he is working as an sacrifice all his activities to the Krishna. How he works is, consider as a Krishna consciousness person. So Krishna says in 3:13, Yajñasistacinaha santo muchyante sarvakilbishai Bunjate tva gamam papam papa pachanti atma karana. The devotees of the Lord are released from all kinds of sins because they eat food which is offered first for sacrifice. Others who prepare food for personal enjoyment, sense enjoyment, verily eat only sin. This activity, so eating is a main thing. Without eating, no living entity is going to sustain. So that eating, that activity, the person who is situated in that, like so far we discussed that knowledge, he is doing that activity as in sacrifice for Krishna, because he offers that food, whatever he cooks, to Krishna first. Then he takes that one as a remnants of Krishna. Just like, today morning also Mataji gave a lot of insights in the Japa call, saying that one, how can we distribute prasadam? So prasadam is the one which we can't live without that one, and making that one as a sanctified or spiritual, that makes a lot of difference in our consciousness. So in this way, the Krishna conscious person, like makes that eating food as a sacrifice. So because he's offering that food to Krishna and taking that one as a remnants of Krishna as a prasadam. And one more thing, we perform the Sankirtana Yajna, which is prescribed by Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Sankirtana Yajna is chanting Hare Krishna. So while we chant, we don't have any selfish motives. So like, now the Kirtan is going on in New York, sitting in front of Times Square, big building, where the mode of passion dominates whole the life, whole the year. But these two, how much time they chant, the devotees. So imagine the intensity of the passion which is there in that streets. The Harinam is going to dominate that one. So how many devotees are sitting and doing the chanting there? Now the people are coming and dancing also. So these and all comes by the prayer of a pure devotee. The Prabhupada prays for today, day has to come like this. So now it's live, it's happening there, sitting in front of Times Square building. If you go another day, tomorrow, same time, or yesterday, same time, then there won't be like that. So full like materialistic thing, everything will go off. But the areas where like that also, Prabhupada is making that one as a, doing the Sankirtana Yajna. So for the sake of the devotees are doing, for the benefit of others. They don't have any selfish motto to go and sit there and chant. They are only chanting to make others to chant, to make others to hear the Harinam. Only doing their motive is praying for others. So that is the thing. That is also sacrifice. They are giving their life, as I said, they are giving their time of their life to Krishna. So how much Krishna is pleased with that service? So like this, the person who is doing work or activities in his life, he offers as a sacrifice to Krishna. Then next, it comes like Krishna gives the solution in 7:14, which says to get rid of this these modes of material nature is tough, but Krishna gives a solution. Daivi hesha gunamayi mama maya durateya mam evaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So this Daivi hesha gunamayi means this modes. Or mama maya durateya. Durateya, it's very difficult to overcome. So if one wants to get rid of this material modes, it's very, very difficult. But third line, Mamevaye prapadyante. Prapadya means surrender. If you surrender unto me, means Krishna is saying, Mayam etam tarantite. But who those surrender unto Krishna, then Krishna makes easily to cross beyond it. So that is the only solution. We can't make our own ourselves only to get rid of this material modes. But only thing is Krishna makes. When we surrender to Krishna, Krishna, I want to get rid of this material modes. You are the only shelter for me. Then Krishna easily makes us to cross this material modes. Because it's not visible, it's not in contact, it's not measurable. How can we go get rid of these modes of material nature? So that's why to make ours this work is easy is we need to surrender to Krishna with this knowledge getting from a perfect person. So this is how it's explained. Then the another solution Prabhupada gives in 1426. So it says very clearly, like how can we get rid of this material modes of nature. Mam chayo avyabhicharena bhakti yogena sevate sagunan samatitaitan brahma bhuyaya kalpate. One who engages in full devotional service, unfailing in all circumstances, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. The important thing is unfailing in all circumstances. Bhakti yogena sevate. So unfailing, Prabhupada translates like, it's in the translation, he gives unfailing in all circumstances. So our bhakti should not be in condition mode, unfailing. If we take any limited sadhana, we need to make that one as a consistency in all circumstances. Trying our best. It's not like extremely when we can't do, that's completely fine, but we need to try, put ourselves 100% efforts. So that when one engages that kind of devotional service, at once it says, at once transcends the modes of material nature and thus comes to the level of Brahman. So here the verse same thing it says, samagram praviliyate, merges means one's work merges as a transcendence. That means transcendent means which is beyond the three modes. Transcendent means there is no reactions, though no connections to anything, no bondage, because everything, whatever work is done by that person, he is doing as a sacrifice. So that is the one thing here it says. So that's what I have for today. So I'll summarize what I discussed. So this verse we discussed about Gata Sangasya, means one has to understand, I want unattached to these modes of material nature. When we understand that thing, then we come to the state of Muktasya, liberation. And in that Muktasya, liberated state, how is our consciousness? The consciousness of that person is situated completely on the transcendental knowledge. And by knowing all that knowledge, he works everything as a sacrifice for the pleasure of Krishna. And in that way, even though the person is staying in this material world, unattached by these modes of material nature, he do all his work as a sacrifice to Krishna, and he is situated in the transcendental situation. So I'll stop here, and if anybody have any questions or comments, please go ahead. Thank you. Hare Krishna.
One question, Vallabi Gopi.
Yes, Mataji.
So we say we should not be affected by the three modes of nature. But sometimes when like someone puts us down or doesn't treat us very well, or treats us badly, whether at work or home or something, it still affects us. So
Yes.
how can we transcend that?
We can't transcend. That's why I said, right, Mataji, we need to surrender to Krishna. We can't transcend with our own capacity. So we need to take shelter of Krishna. So that's what it says, Mam evaye prapadyante maya metam tarantite. So only Krishna, he says in translation, I easily make them cross beyond that one.
So we have to just place whatever happens, and
we need to aspire to that level where we completely surrender to Krishna like that. But in the daily life, when we go through a lot of things, definitely, but completely getting rid of the modes, it's completely by the mercy of Krishna. But one need to be strict in their devotional practice, should aspire to that situation where the modes are not affected like that. But but living in this material world in practical way, we go through a lot of things. But only thing, aspiration, we should not give up that desire to get unattached by the modes of material nature.
Because if we don't let it affect us and consider that it is just the material world and it is material, then it's easy, and just concentrate on Krishna's devotional service. That should help us, right?
Yeah, it helps us, but at the same time, even Krishna, when he came in Mahabharata also, so Krishna teaches him, Pandavas also gone through a lot of things, right? So it's there, but aspiration, like keeping that desire in the heart is important. That's what I mean. Like, I understand. So keeping that thing, I know it's there, but still I want to get out of this material modes of material nature. That aspiration, that desire, like, surrendering, that makes us to become more surrendered to Krishna. So okay, but in the life, like, lot of ups and downs comes and modes are there in and out, and we get affect. If we convince like that, the surrenderness towards to Krishna, it might, like, it's not like we don't take that much serious. So what I mean to say is, keep that one desire strong, that I want to get out of this material modes of material nature, and surrendering more towards to Krishna. Then Krishna leads us to that one. We don't have that one, so it's only with Krishna's mercy we can get out of these things.
Yeah.
And if any situation comes like that, we need to react, means we can pray to Krishna. Krishna, please give right intelligence at right time, which is benefit for me.
Yeah, for me, like, even if I'm really upset with something, if I do some chanting, it helps.
Yes, Mataji. So that means that Krishna's reciprocation.
Thank you.
Thank you, Mataji. Any comments or questions? Okay. If no one has any comments or questions, I found like one small article. We have, I think, 2 more minutes, so we'll read that one about the chanting. I'll share my screen. And yeah. The title is Seven Benefits of Chanting by Nagaraja Dasa. So it's in Back to Godhead article. So anyone would like to read?
Yes, Mataji, I can read.
Okay, go ahead, Mataji. It's from here.
Just give me one moment. Yeah. When encountering Hare Krishna devotees chanting on the street, people respond with every reaction from amusement to anger. Few understand what the chanting is all about. To many, it seems a frivolity, often inspiring the remark, "Get a job." Shall I continue, Mataji?
Yes, yes, Mataji.
But there is nothing frivolous about chanting the names of the god. Srila Prabhupada had great faith in transformative power of chanting. He told us that simply by chanting Hare Krishna, we would become self-realized. He spoke from experience and on the basis of the teachings of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who emphasized chanting as the most effective means of God realization in the present age. Prabhupada saw his disciples mature spiritually by chanting, and he stressed that if we continue to chant sincerely, we would attain spiritual perfection. In the Sistastakam, or 8 teachings of Lord Chaitanya himself, listed 7 spiritual benefits of chanting. If anybody else would like to chant, Mataji. Otherwise,
Reading nicely.
Chanting cleans the mirror of heart. Lord Chaitanya compares the heart of the consciousness to a mirror in which one sees oneself. The dust of lifetimes of material pursuits sullies our consciousness, blocking a clear vision of our true identity as spiritual beings. Chanting the holy names washes away the dust, allowing us to finally see who we really are. Chanting puts out the fire of material existence. We think we are the body, and that brings on limitless sufferings, chief of which are disease, old age, death, and rebirth. Because chanting awakens our true identity, it delivers us from repeated lifetimes of misery at the hands of nature.
Chanting is like a moon spreading good fortune. Even in the early stages of practice, a chanter feels the lightning of a great burden. Because God and his names are identical, the blessings invoked by chanting are incalculable. Chanting is the life of all knowledge. Without spiritual knowledge, we eternal beings are doomed to stay in this temporary place where we can never be fully satisfied. The essence of spiritual knowledge is to know our eternal relationship with Krishna. By removing the material covering, chanting awakens that knowledge which lies dormant within us. Someone else wants to read?
Chanting expands the ocean of transcendental happiness. Any spiritual happiness is far beyond anything attainable through material endeavors, but the highest spiritual pleasure comes from our relationship with Krishna. As the purity of our chanting increases, so does our love for Krishna, the key to an ever deepening relationship with Him. Lord Chaitanya gives the example of an ocean to show the amount of happiness that awaits us. Even an ordinary ocean is not big enough to hold it. An ever expanding ocean is needed.
Chanting lets us taste the nectar of happiness at every step. We eventually become satiated by any kind of material pleasure. But the spiritual happiness unlocked by chanting Hare Krishna is always new and fresh. Chanting bathes, chanting bathes us in the full satisfaction. Restoring our long lost relationship with Krishna fully smooths the soul. Lord Krishna longs for us to return to him, and our heartfelt plea spoken in the Hare Krishna Mahamantra is just what he wants to hear. Nagaraj Das.
Harinam ki jai.
Yeah.
Right.
Thank you, Mataji. It's time. We'll offer prayers to all the assembled Vaishnavas. Vancha kalpa कृपासिन्धुभ्यैव पतितानां पावनेभ्यो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः अनंत कोटि वैष्णव वृंद की जय श्रील प्रभुपाद की जय जय प्रेमानंदे हरि हरि बोल Glories to Shri.
That was really nice, Vallabhi Gopi. That little excerpt on chanting.
It's the first verse of Shikshastakam, Mataji.
Yeah, wonderful translation. Nice.
Thank you, Mataji. Hari
Thank you all. Yeah, thank you, Hare Krishna.